All right, so are you ready to dive into something a little different today?
Oh, yeah.
So we got a request from a listener who's curious about safe places to sleep in a car.
Okay.
And they sent us a YouTube video.
Oh, cool.
It's called 25 Best Places to Sleep When Living in Your Car by Timothy Ward.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have to admit, when I first saw this request, I was like, huh, interesting.
Yeah. But then I thought about it,
Uh-huh.
there are all kinds of reasons why someone might actually need this knowledge.
Right?
Like, think about it, cross-country road trips.
Yeah,
Maybe someone's thinking about doing a little, stealth camping.
sure.
Or even, the rise of hashtag van life, you know?
Yeah, it's true. More and more people are choosing to live in their vehicles these days.
Yeah.
It's not just like a quirky lifestyle choice anymore.
Right.
Some studies actually show a significant increase in vehicle dwelling,
Wow.
which, is probably linked to all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Housing costs, job changes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All that. Okay, so maybe this IWIS useful information for more people than we think.
Yeah, for sure.
So Timothy, in this video,
Huh?
he had some interesting ideas.
Okay.
25 to be exact.
Oh, wow.
Some were pretty standard,
Yeah.
know, but then he threw in some real curveballs.
Like what?
Mechanic shops, car dealerships. I would not have thought of those
Really?
in a million miles.
Well, that's the beauty of Timothy's approach,
Yeah.
He's really making you think outside the box. But
Mhm.
with any advice, we need to break it down and see what actually holds up
Right.
in the real world.
For sure.
What works for one person in one place might be a total disaster for someone else.
Exactly. So let's unpack these 25 gems one by one.
Okay.
And remember, safety and legality are top priorities here.
For sure.
We don't want you ending up on the wrong side of the law or worse.
Right.
First up, a classic hotel parking lots.
Okay.
Now, I've stayed in my fair share of hotels, but it never occurred to me to sleep in the parking lot. What's the logic here?
Well, think about it. Hotels usually have good lighting.
Yeah.
They often have security cameras. There's always people coming and going.
Right.
All of that kind of adds up to a sense of security,
Yeah.
Because there's less chance of something happening unnoticed.
Okay.
Plus, as Timothy points out, you can sometimes sneak into the lobby to use the bathroom.
Oh.
He even suggests pretending to be a guest.
Wait, hold on a second. Pretending to be a guest.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be super awkward?
Maybe a little.
And what if they asked for my room number? I'd be busted in a heartbeat.
Well, that's where your acting skills come in.
Oh, gosh.
But seriously, you do have to be discreet and respectful.
Okay.
The key is to blend in, act confident, and avoid drawing attention to yourself.
Okay, so maybe not for the faint of heart.
Right.
What about emergency room parking lots?
Oh, yeah.
Similar idea.
Exactly. Hospitals are also well lit.
Oh,
They have those security measures in place,
Yeah.
people coming and going at all hours.
Right.
Think about it. Security personnel are probably used to seeing people waiting in their cars.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're less likely to raise eyebrows.
Okay.
But again, discretion is key.
Makes sense. Okay, next on the list, campgrounds.
All right.
This one seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But is there a catch?
Well, campgrounds definitely have their advantages.
Yeah.
Designated spaces, often bathrooms and showers,
Yeah.
and sometimes even a sense of community.
Yeah.
But they usually come with a fee,
Right.
which might not be feasible for everyone.
Okay.
Plus, you might have to deal with noise from other campers
Yeah, that's true.
or restrictions on how long you can stay.
Not exactly the free-spirited, off-the-grid experience some people might be looking for.
Right.
Okay, moving right along, rest stops.
Okay.
Timothy said these can be a mixed bag.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Rest stops are interesting because they're designed for travelers,
Yeah.
but they can vary so much.
Yeah, okay.
Some are tiny, isolated, and maybe not the safest feeling.
Right.
Others are huge, well-maintained, and might even have security patrols.
Oh, wow.
It really depends on the location.
So research is key.
Definitely.
Don't just pull into the first rest stop you see at 2 a.m. without checking it out first.
No.
Okay, now for the big one. Walmart parking lots.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I've heard a lot about this one,
Uh-huh.
but Timothy seemed a little hesitant about it.
Yeah, Walmart parking lots used to be the go-to for overnight parking.
Okay.
But things have changed.
Really, how so?
More and more locations are cracking down on it, putting up signs prohibiting overnight camping.
Interesting.
It's probably due to, an increase in RVs and car dwellers,
Yeah.
which might have led to problems or complaints.
So not as reliable as it used to be.
Right.
Makes sense. Businesses have to protect their interests.
Yeah.
But what about Cracker Barrel?
Oh, that's a good one.
That was an unexpected suggestion.
Right.
Cracker Barrel is known for being RV friendly,
Yeah.
with like designated overnight parking areas.
Mm-hmm.
And while this is mainly for RVs,
Yeah.
Timothy suggests you might be able to squeeze a car or van in there too.
Maybe.
It's all about blending in and being respectful.
Right.
I love the creativity here.
Me too.
Okay, on to industrial parks.
Oh.
Those always seem a little eerie to me.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just from watching too many movies.
Probably.
What's the appeal?
Well, industrial parks are often deserted after business hours and on weekends.
Okay.
Which means plenty of parking space and minimal disturbance.
Uh-huh.
You're less likely to be bothered or noticed.
I guess that makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay, this next one is a little sneaky auto repair shops.
Oh, interesting.
How does that work?
Auto repair shops are interesting because there's always a turnover of vehicles, so your car is less likely to stand out.
Okay.
But this one definitely comes with a higher risk of being caught.
Right.
You'd have to be incredibly careful and discreet.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd be comfortable trying that one.
I hear you.
It seems like a recipe for trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, what about car dealerships?
Mm-hmm.
Is that even allowed?
Car dealerships, especially those selling the same make as your car,
Okay.
can be surprisingly good camouflage.
Really?
Timothy suggests parking your Honda at a Honda dealership, for example.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that.
It's like hiding in plowed sight.
Oh, okay. Now, for a more conventional option,
Yeah.
parking garages.
Yeah.
Safe, but probably not free, right?
Exactly. Parking garages offer security
Yeah.
and shelter from the elements, but they usually come with a price tag.
Right.
If you're willing to pay a few dollars for a night of secure parking,
Yeah.
this could be a good option,
Yeah.
especially in a city where street parking is scarce or expensive.
So it depends on your budget and priorities.
Exactly.
Next up, feeling lucky casinos.
Oh, fun.
So casinos are interesting because they're bustling with activity 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
which can provide a sense of safety.
Mm-hmm.
They usually have good security and surveillance.
Right. And you might even be able to sneak in for a bathroom break
Okay.
or a cheap meal.
I'm starting to see a theme here.
What's that?
Timothy seems to like places with lots of action and people around.
Yeah,
Makes you feel less like a target.
for sure.
All right, next up, BLM land.
Yeah.
I'll admit I had to Google this one.
Uh-huh.
What is it, and is it a good option?
BLM land stands for Bureau of Land Management Land.
Okay.
Imagine vast stretches of land, often in remote areas,
Okay.
managed by the U.S. government.
Okay.
You can typically camp for free on BLM land for up to 14 days.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Free camping on government land, sign me up.
right.
But is it safe?
That's a good question.
And are there any rules or restrictions we should know about?
There are definitely rules and regulations.
Okay.
So it's important to do your research
Oh.
and know before you go.
Okay.
As for safety, it really depends on the location and your comfort level.
Right.
Some BLM land is close to towns and services,
Hmm.
while other areas are remote and isolated.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll want to be prepared with supplies and know how to handle yourself in the wilderness.
Okay, so maybe not for everyone,
Right,
but definitely a great option for the adventurous types.
definitely.
All right, next up, we've got grocery store and mall parking lots.
Okay.
I feel like these are hit or miss.
You're right, they can be tricky.
Yeah,
Many close at certain hours.
right.
And staying after closing time could attract unwanted attention
Uh-huh.
from security or the police.
Oh, right.
Plus, they're not always the quietest or most peaceful places to spend the night,
Yeah.
especially if they're near busy roads.
Yeah, I can imagine the streetlights and delivery trucks wouldn't make for the most restful sleep.
Definitely not.
Okay, this next one surprised me. Police stations.
Oh, really?
Is that even a thing?
Yeah.
Who would think to sleep in a police station parking lot?
It sounds counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But Timothy's point is that it's the last place anyone would expect someone to be sleeping in their car. But you have to remember police stations often have surveillance cameras.
Right.
And officers coming and going at all hours.
So you might think you're being clever,
Uh-huh.
but they probably see you right away.
Right.
Okay, so maybe not the best option.
Yeah.
Unless you're really desperate or want to take a gamble.
Right.
What's next on the list?
Next up, we've got both city street parking and residential street parking.
Okay.
Both have their own sets of pros and cons to consider.
All right, let's break those down city streets first.
Okay.
Free parking after certain hours sounds good.
Yeah.
But what about the downsides?
Well, you have to be super aware of any local ordinances about sleeping in vehicles.
Oh, right.
Some cities have strict rules against it,
Okay.
and you could end up with a ticket or worse.
Yeah.
And even if it's allowed, you have to make sure to move your car
Yeah.
before the meters become active again.
Right. Imagine waking up to a parking ticket, or worse, getting towed. Not the best way to start your day.
No.
Okay, what about residential streets?
Residential streets can offer a sense of blending in,
Okay.
especially if you find a street with a mix of cars.
Uh-huh.
Timothy suggests avoiding parking directly in front of houses,
Right.
so you're less likely to be noticed or bother anyone.
It's all about being a good neighbor, even if your home is on wheels.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else did Timothy have up his sleeve?
He had some more practical suggestions, like renting a parking spot.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
You can find these through online platforms like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace.
exactly.
That's a great idea for someone looking for a more long-term solution.
Yeah.
It gives you a sense of security and stability, knowing you have a dedicated spot.
Right.
Did he have any other unconventional ideas?
He mentioned apartment complexes,
Oh, really?
specifically ones without strict parking regulations
Okay.
or those with visitor parking.
Huh. I never thought of that.
Yeah,
But I guess if you're discreet and move your car regularly,
right.
it could work.
Exactly.
Anything else?
Truck stops are definitely worth considering.
Okay.
They offer 24-hour access,
Mm-hmm.
facilities like bathrooms and showers,
Nice.
and a sense of community among fellow travelers.
You know, it's a great point about community.
Yeah,
It's easy to feel isolated when living on the road.
for sure.
So being around other people in similar situations could be really beneficial.
Absolutely.
Okay, what else did Timothy cover?
He had a few more specialized options like businesses with overnight shifts
Okay.
and employee parking,
Uh-huh.
safe parking lot programs specifically designed for people living in their vehicles,
Oh, wow.
and even 24-hour gyms.
Wow. He really thought of everything.
He really did.
So we've gone through all 25 of Timothy's suggestions.
We have.
But before we get into the nitty-gritty of each category,
Okay.
let's step back and look at the big picture.
Okay.
What are the common threads here?
Mm.
What can we learn from his approach?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, you'll notice that most of Timothy's suggestions fall into a few broad categories.
Okay.
24-hour businesses,
Okay.
public parking areas,
Uh-huh.
private property,
Yeah?
and designated safe parking programs.
Okay.
Each category has its own set of pros and cons.
Right.
And the best choice for you will depend on your individual circumstances
Right.
and priorities.
That's a great point. So listeners, take notes.
Yeah.
We're about to break down these categories
Okay.
and help you choose the best spots for your needs.
Awesome. So let's start with those 24-hour businesses.
Yeah.
We're talking about places like Walmarts, Cracker Barrels, truck stops,
Mm-hmm.
those all-night gyms.
Okay.
The constant activity is a big plus here.
Yeah. How so?
Well, you blend in, you're less likely to be noticed,
Okay.
and it just feels safer when there are people around.
Right. Safety in numbers.
Exactly.
But I'm guessing there are some downsides too, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's not all free coffee and late night snacks, is it?
Definitely not. Remember how we talked about Walmart's cracking down?
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Right.
And even if overnight parking is allowed, think about the noise and lights.
Oh, yeah. True.
Delivery trucks, bright signs, people coming and going all night.
Ah.
That's not exactly a peaceful sleep sanctuary.
No, it's not like you're checking into a hotel.
Right.
You're kind of a guest by default.
Yeah.
So respecting their rules and being super discreet is essential.
Absolutely.
Okay, what about public parking areas?
Public parking.
Those seem like they could be a bit of a gamble.
They can be a mixed bag for sure.
Yeah.
Think rest stops, hospital parking lots, some city streets where parking is free after certain hours.
Okay.
The good news is they're usually accessible
Yeah.
and often free.
Right.
The bad news is they can be really different in terms of safety
Okay.
and what's available.
Timothy mentions some rest stops being deserted and kind of creepy,
Yeah.
while others were like little hubs of activity.
Right.
How do you know which is which before you pull in?
It's all about observation. Look for signs of life.
Okay.
Other cars parked overnight,
Yeah.
security cameras,
Yeah.
maybe even security patrols.
Okay.
And don't underestimate the power of a good old Google search.
Oh, right.
Checking online reviews can give you a feel for the place
Yeah.
before you risk it.
Great advice. But what about the legal side of things?
Oh, that's important.
Is it always okay to sleep in your car in a public parking lot? I feel there are a lot of gray areas there.
You're hitting on a key point, and it's one that trips a lot of people up.
Yeah.
The rules vary so much depending on where you are.
Okay.
Some cities or states have laws against sleeping in your vehicle, period.
Wow.
Others are more relaxed about it.
Okay.
Do your homework before you settle in for the night.
Yeah.
The last thing you want is a ticket,
Right.
or worse, getting towed in the middle of the night.
Ugh, that would be a nightmare. Okay, what about private property?
Private property.
Timothy mentioned places like apartment complexes, industrial parks, even churches.
Uh,
What are the rules of the game there?
Private property can feel more secluded
Okay.
and might even be safer.
Right.
But you absolutely have to get permission from the owner.
Okay.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
He talked about apartment complexes with visitor parking being a decent option if you're careful.
Yeah,
But asking a church or business owner, that just seems so awkward.
it can be a little awkward.
What if they say no?
Well, it definitely takes some guts,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad they're gaining traction.
Yeah, me too.
They're specifically designed to give people living in their vehicles a safe and legal place to park.
That's fantastic.
They often have security restrooms and sometimes even social services to help people get back on their feet.
That's so great.
Yeah,
It sounds so much better than trying to find some hidden spot and hoping for the best.
for sure.
How do people find these programs?
Hmm.
Is there a secret handshake?
No secret handshake. Thankfully, a simple Google search for safe parking programs, plus your city or state, should do the trick.
Okay.
There are also national organizations that work on this issue,
Okay.
so you can check their websites for resources and information.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have
24-hour businesses, public parking areas, private property, and those awesome safe parking programs.
Yeah,
It's clear that there's no one-size-fits-all answer here, right?
absolutely. Not the best spot depends entirely on your needs,
Yeah.
your situation, and your comfort level.
Right.
Weigh the pros and cons, think about your priorities, and do your research.
Exactly. Don't just jump into the first seemingly good spot you see.
No,
Think it through.
right.
Now, we've talked a lot about the practical side of finding a safe place to park,
Yeah.
but there's a bigger conversation here that we can't ignore.
Uh-huh. What's that?
Why are more people finding themselves sleeping in their cars in the first place?
Right.
What's going on?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And it's a complex one with no easy answers.
Yeah.
We're talking about rising housing costs, wages that haven't kept up,
Right.
job insecurity,
Yeah.
and a lack of affordable housing options. It's a perfect storm that's forcing people into tough situations.
It's heartbreaking to think that for some people, their car is their only shelter.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize that finding a safe parking spot is only one piece of a much larger puzzle.
So true. This issue has so many layers,
Yeah.
and it's crucial to approach it with empathy and understanding.
Yeah.
We need to be looking at the bigger picture, the systemic factors that contribute to homelessness and vehicle dwelling.
Right.
And we need to be working towards solutions that are equitable and sustainable.
This raises an important question for all of us.
What's that?
What are the long-term implications of this trend, both for individuals and for society as a whole? What does it mean for our communities and our future?
It's a question we all need to grapple with. We're seeing a shift in how people live and work,
Yeah.
with more people choosing or being forced into a nomadic lifestyle.
Right.
And as the number of people living in their vehicles continues to rise, we need to be thinking about access to resources,
Okay.
public safety,
Yeah.
and how our social support systems can adapt to meet these evolving needs.
It's a complex issue,
It is.
and it's one that's not going away anytime soon.
Right.
But by talking about it, raising awareness,
Uh-huh.
and exploring creative solutions, we can hopefully make a difference.
I hope so.
Okay, listeners, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We
We've
had.
explored practical tips, broke down different parking options,
Right.
and even touched on the broader social and economic forces at play.
Yeah.
What are your takeaways?
Mhm.
What stood out to you in all of this? It's easy to get caught up in just like the logistics of
Yeah.
finding a safe parking spot.
Uh-huh.
But this whole conversation
Yeah,
has really kind of opened my eyes to something bigger.
for sure.
It's about more than
Yeah.
just where you park your car for the night, you know?
It really is. And it's fascinating because it forces us to look at our values, our priorities, and how we treat people who are struggling or
Right.
living differently than what we consider normal.
It's a challenge to our assumptions, definitely, and it pushes us to be more empathetic
Yeah.
and understanding, you know?
Absolutely. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
We see that the rising number of vehicle dwellers is a symptom of larger societal trends. Like,
Oh,
we're
yes.
talking about income inequality, the lack of affordable housing,
Yeah.
barriers to accessing essential resources.
It's a reminder that there are people out there facing challenges
Yeah.
we might not even be aware of.
Right.
They're trying to make ends meet,
Uh-huh.
find a safe place to sleep,
Yeah.
and navigate a system that often feels stacked against them.
It's important to remember that everyone has a story,
Yeah.
and everyone deserves dignity and respect regardless of their housing situation.
Well said. So before we wrap up,
Okay.
any final words of wisdom for our listener who's exploring this lifestyle, whether by choice or necessity?
Yeah, I'd say approach it with a sense of preparedness and resourcefulness.
Okay.
Do your research prioritize safety and legality, and don't be afraid to connect with others who have experience living on the road.
That's a great point.
There's a whole community out there, both online and in person,
Yeah.
that can offer support advice and a sense of camaraderie.
And remember, there are resources available.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Don't hesitate to reach out to local organizations or search online for support groups and helpful information.
Right.
Knowledge is power, especially when you're navigating a new and sometimes challenging way of life.
Absolutely. The more informed you are, the better equipped you'll be to handle the ups and downs
Right.
and make choices that are right for you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Uh-huh.
Well, folks, that's a wrap on another deep dive.
Awesome.
We covered a lot of ground today, from practical parking tips
Yeah.
to the bigger social and economic issues at play.
Uh-huh.
We hope you found this exploration insightful,
Yeah.
eye-opening, and maybe even a little inspiring.
Remember, the world is full of different ways of living and experiencing life.
That's true.
And sometimes stepping outside of our comfort zones and exploring those different paths
Yeah.
can lead to incredible growth and understanding.
So keep that adventurous spirit alive.
Mm-hmm.
Keep asking questions.
Uh-huh.
And keep diving deep into the things that spark your curiosity. And as always, thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery. Until next time, stay curious.